All right, we're getting into the first match of today. This Challengers Cup series. We got the Pikachus versus the Poppies in the first match, and today we actually have a special guest here. You want to introduce yourself, or?
Hey everyone, my name is Nick, or aka you may know me as hi-rez Pretty Hair. Excited to be joining here for the EU Challenger Cup game.
Is there like a story behind the pretty hair?
Yeah, so basically the story behind it is during the second annual charity stream for hi-rez, I was interning there over the summer, and I was kind of like doing stuff in the background, like helping make a gross shake that Hindu Man had to drink. And then the chat just kind of saw me in the background there, and they wanted to see me come up and do more stuff. So I was peeling a banana very sensually while I poured it in the Hindu Man shake, and yeah, Smitten got a hold of it. And yeah, they wanted to see more of it. So Bart made me a Twitter, and that was kind of the name he dubbed me with. So I've been kind of rocking that ever since.
All right, well, that's a pretty cool story. Glad to have you here. Thank you for joining us. But getting back into the game, Poppy's now locking in their first set of picks, Geb and Isis, after Angry Pikachu's, of course, locking in Circuit. Now, Angry Pikachu's have a little bit of time to decide on what they want to go for. They are going up against a tough initial team fighting looking Poppies. Usually we see Geb and Isis together. They're shaping up their team comp to be more team fight oriented, later game, mid game, or at earliest. Maybe we're going to see a Thor on the Poppy side.
Yeah, Thor could be a very strong pickup here. It's going to be hard. They're going to need, yeah, definitely some more control to initiate, especially with a Geb there to be able to cleanse the initial CC team fight coming out. We are going to see Agni and Sylvanas. Those are definitely strong counter initiators, if not, first ones to take the initiative and pop in there.
Yeah, I'm really liking that Agni pick. Agni is kind of a character that we don't see very often, but once Giannis and Zeus are taken off the board, he's kind of one of the last remaining high-tier mid-lane picks that you can actually secure for your team if you still want to have such a high utility and high burst damage character. However, Hell being hovered over and actually locked in is going to be very interesting for the Poppies. This is shaping up to be a very scary team if they can pull it off.
Yeah, and they're going to immediately follow up the Hell pick with the Odin ban. Definitely very strong counterplay. That's probably what Angry Pikachus were looking to come at them with against. But yeah, Hell not that great in the early game, but if you can get her into the mid and late stages of the game and you can't burst somebody down or burst the whole team down, then Hell is just going to ruin your day. She'll kill the whole team back up.
So, we have to discuss what can Angry Pikachus do against the team comp with the Hell on their side. And I'm more personally a fan of, first of all, they do have at least one answer already built into their team composition with Circuit and her ultimate. If she can focus on the Hell, that's 100% healing reduction just off the bat. But outside of that, what are you feeling like could be an option for Angry Pikachus going into their last two picks?
Definitely, we could see perhaps a Sobek come out. Something people often overlook about Sobek. His signature strike actually, has healing reduction on it. So that coupled with a that works too. The Osiris pick they're kind of hovering on right now. That in addition to Circuit's ult works, but I feel like Sobek is a much more reliable way to spread anti-heal. It's 90% when stacked with a Divine Rune. So that's kind of a more reliable way, in my opinion, to stack the anti-heal cross.
I think what they're looking to do with the Osiris pick, if they go for it, assuming they go for it, is that they want something to be able to harass the backline very strongly. They don't want someone who's going to be ignorable as the game progresses. Because Sobek, after he uses his Sickening Strike and after he uses his Tail Whip, kind of is isolated in his damage if he's not using his Lurking in the Waters. So it's kind of hard when you don't have the ultimate to be as potent, whereas Osiris can just auto attack, and his low cooldowns allow him to be very annoying in the backline. But Hades and Hou-Yi going to be picked up for Angry Pikachus, rounding out this team composition. Been a while since I've seen Hades in the solo lane, especially against a Hell matchup. I'm going to reserve the right to say that I'm not 100% sure how this one's going to go. I can speculate, but it can go either way.
Yeah, Hades I wouldn't say he really has any bad matchups the solo lane. He is able to clear the lane very early and easily, and in fact healing himself up. He will be able to contain in terms of sustain with that Hell pick over on the Poppies.
Yeah, the real question I think I have for the solo lane is whether or not Hell can actually out-sustain him or is she going to try and outburst damage him in that solo lane matchup? So that's a big question mark. Also, we didn't get a lot of opportunity to talk about the mid lane matchup. So Isis versus Agni, this is an age old one. Everyone's
Yeah.
seen this time and time again. I think what is going to be the big deciding factor for me in the early game is ISIS going to pick up that purple pot, because that's a typical start for a lot of ISIS players nowadays. They pick up the purple pot, they go for the aggressive start, and they try to pick up an easy first blood. Combine that with Thor, and you might be able to get an easy first blood if the members of the Angry Pikachus aren't paying enough attention.
It's a very hard-hitting mid jungle combo for the Poppies for sure. Thor especially is kind of a pain for Agni. He's not going to be able to, with a well-placed wall, he's going to be sealed off from his tower effectively. He's not going to be able to leap or get under it or any of that. So he definitely has to play back, which is, it's kind of favorable for Isis. Can struggle against a good Agni who is able to stun her out of her wing gust, which is the majority of her lane clear. So we'll see how they're able to leverage both their advantages.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead, and I wanna hear your opinion, but I want to go ahead and throw my hat. I think that I feel as though the Angry Pikachus are going to win. Now, the Poppies do have a very scary progression team comp. I mean, Neith and Thor are going to dominate the mid game, allow for a lot of global presence. Neith World Weaver is going to secure some kills, set up some kills. They can combine a lot of gank potential there, but I do feel like the Angry Pikachus do have enough damage and control overall to potentially win out the mid game. So that's my vote. I'd love to hear yours.
Personally, because I have not seen either of these teams play, going off the comps, it's gonna come down to how Angry Pikachus is able to use their anti-heal, how many weakenings they choose to pick up. Because like I said, I'm gonna stick to this. If they're not able to burst down Hell or whoever their target is, then they're gonna have a rough time, because Hell is just gonna be able to top the team back off
And
and
Geb Shield.
re-engage. Yeah, and they got Ice Assault, they got Geb Shield, they got a lot of ways to kind of counter them trying to burst one target down. I think that's gonna be their main hurdle this.
And that's another point we needed to make, because Angry Pikachus, I think, did this pretty skillfully. They picked up a team comp that does a lot of AoE style damage. So yeah, they're going to focus down the Hell in terms of getting the Saket ultimate onto her, but they still have a lot of damage to just spread around to the entire team fight, as opposed to investing a lot into just one target. So say, for example, we replace that Agni with just a Poseidon. Even though it's not completely isolated damage, it's still pretty focused. So I think Angry Pikachu's drafted the best they could. I'm expecting a weakening curse possibly onto Hades and possibly onto Sylvanas, or they might just elect to just try and put it onto one person, allow the other person to be kind of the initiator and one person to be the anti-heal.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely always kind of interesting to see how teams will elect to get their healing reduction out now that we've seen Weakening Curse kind of reduced down to that 65%. It opens up a lot more kind of avenues to get to that full healing reduction that it used to provide.
now, how do you feel about Agni with a Divine Ruin, about, say, 4th item?
Um, I don't think it's bad. I personally would prefer to see it come out on Sylvanas. He's got, especially with the Wisps, he'd be able to have a lot more uptime and probably on a lot more targets as opposed to Agni.
Okay, because I mean the alternative would be Hades getting Divine Ruin, which is perfectly reasonable.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that having 2 Divine Ruins on a team comp like this might not be bad. It actually would be favorable in my opinion, but that, of course, in my opinion, as we're slowly starting to get loaded into the game. But looks like we are going to be able to get in. So why don't you go ahead and introduce us to the blue side of the map?
Over on the blue side of the map, we have our Angry Pikachu's Darzer in that mid lane on Og. Got the big man Tings over on the support Dr. Vanas out there for the duo lane. In the jungle, we have the Pikachu himself on Serket. Over in the solo lane, we got Just Lopez on Hades. And rounding this comp out, we have the Bushy on Who Yeezus.
And over in the red side of the map, we've got the Poppies. Dalo playing jungle Thor, the Alex MC in the middle lane is Isis, David Arnaiz in the support role as Geb, Perilia 12 in the hunter role as Neath, and finally Warchi playing the very, very important role of Hell in the soul lane. A lot of questions here, but it looks like we're just going to see a grouping so that Geb can ward here. Nothing too fancy just yet. Poppies don't have the best level 1. They have Thor on their side, and he gets a strong buff from being around a lot of enemy team members, but they don't have the best CC to secure the kills outside of Neath's Spirit Arrow, so just making sure that they can ward safely.
Nothing too unexpected coming out in terms of starting builds. I don't believe we're seeing any. Oh, we do see that purple pot start come out on Ice like you expected, also with a red pot out on Thor.
Yeah, it's such a strong start for Isis. That Spirit Ball plus Wind Gust combination is probably one of the higher pre-level 5 set of skills in the game. So Isis being able to leverage that advantage for herself is going to be huge for the mid lane jungle combination, especially once these mid camps start to become a real contention. But I like this strategy by Angry Pikachus. They know that there might be some heavy contention for these mid camps, so they're going to go ahead and start that. And then the Bushy is going to meet up with Big Man Tings, I believe, in the dual lane. Just ignore the purple buff.
Yeah, it looks like they're gonna elect a Nor purple buff right straight to lane. That's very good. I like this strategy coming out from them. They're gonna need all the time they can to try and get lane pressure and with Geb and Neath. They're some of the strongest wave clear we.
Yo, and hold, look at that. That's proving that Sylvanas can land the root, or excuse me, land the pull. So Neath's gonna have to be Neath's gonna have to be very conscious of that. I always love when someone just goes ahead and shows, hey, I can land my skill shot. You better be aware of that, because that puts a little tick in the back of the minds of the enemy player, saying, okay, well, he can land it. I should look out. But over the soul lane, just kind of a sustained battle coming out from these two. Hell not doing a lot of damage to Hades just yet, but give it a little bit of time and you're going to start seeing those repulse do quite a bit.
Yeah, one thing she can look to do early is heal her creeps, because Hades isn't going to be able to clear the just one-shot it until he gets his Devour Souls probably to level 3 or 4. So Hell healing up her creeps after he puts out that initial burst, that's all Hades got. If they can sustain the creeps through that. Oh, but yeah, see, he's already one-shotting that.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't take very long for him to do so, but Thor and Isis going to their back harpies. Agni is just kind of looking around, and it doesn't look like the jungler on the side of Angry Pikachus knows exactly where to go right now. She wants to possibly make a play onto Hell over in the soul lane, and I think that that's probably your best bet. If you're Hell, you need to ward up heavily, because Serket, reasonably speaking, should be camping that lane, but we'll have to wait and see, as Isis is going to put quite a bit of damage onto the Pikachu.
Yeah, able to hit about 3 out of 4 of those. That's really doing a lot, especially with leveraging that purple pot early game. That's really kind of the goal there, is to push your opponent back out of lane with the purple pot. You don't necessarily need a kill to make it worth it, but you just need to be able to maybe clear the lane faster and go maybe steal a camp or something. What you're looking to do.
I mean, yeah, because basically, as long as you go up 450 gold on your opponent, you've made worth out of that pot. Because, and even more so, it sometimes is preferred, just because it seems kind of pointless to just neutralize by going up 450 gold. You want to go more than that.
And it's also kind of hard to put a price on the early pressure that a purple pot is able to provide against strong early game.
Yeah, always hard to tell there, but Serket hanging out over in the right lane. Both Hades and Serket, level 5, they do want to go aggressively onto this Hell. The longer they can delay her late game, the better off they'll be, but it looks like they're going to have to tower dive if they want this, and that can be an option. Hades does have some natural protections, but it looks like the call is to just go ahead, back off, and say maybe another time.
Hell electing not to ward yet. That could come back to bite her soon, as this is a very potent gank with Hades and a Serket. One thing I want to mention about this Hell Hades matchup, while she can cleanse CC, until she levels that up. Oh, here we go. We got the gank started out. Serket ultimate coming out. Yep, and they're gonna be able to lock this down real quick. The Cobra's Kiss into a Hades ultimate.
Very easy, clean, and efficient gank, and Geb rotating in to help out with this blue buff. I think that they wanted to try and save the Hell as early as possible, but unfortunately that was not an option. That's just too much damage coming out all at once. However, they can secure the mid Harpies on the right side of the map, and Thor will go back to secure that blue buff as well. So, first blood going over the Angry Pikachus.
Yeah, very quick, very clean. One thing I want to get back to, the point I was trying to make before that gank happened was Hell does have her cleanse, but she elected not to skill into that, which I don't entirely agree with. She does have beads 1 online right now, as we see Hades going over to put some pressure on this blue buff. Hell and Thor are going to be coming back in here. Serket is also here, but it could be a fight, possibly over. They look like they're going to back off, maybe just head back to lane.
Yeah. But yeah, I agree completely with what you're saying. You need the cleanse to be able to deal with the silence from Hades or the ultimate from Hades or even just any kind of aggression from Serket. But I think what she's trying to do is become a better lane bully in that matchup because she does want to try and control the pacing of that game. But over in the duo lane, a lot of damage coming out. Savannah's using his ultimate, and there it is. Big Man Tings is going to be the one to secure the kill onto David Arnaiz. Another kill going over to Angry Pikachus as they're feeling pretty confident now.
Yep, they're able to about to pull this gold lead into close to just over 1,000, it looks like, into the early game. This is exactly what they wanted, you know. As the later stages get into the team fight, only becomes stronger for the Poppy, so it's very important for them to put them behind early.
Yeah, and the big number for me right now is looking over in the middle lane is you see Agni is sitting at 3,400 gold just about, but Ice is only sitting at 3,550 just about. So only 150 separate the two mid laners, and you know I can't put a direct price on the purple pot, but I can say I don't feel like that's worthwhile.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I said, you want to kind of get the early pressure with the purple pot, but I mean it is worth it. We got to think about what she could have lost had she not picked it up. If she was just been able to be bullied around, she wouldn't have been breaking even with gold right now. So it is tough to say. Maybe if that's what she's comfortable starting with, you know, probably knows her Ice's game better than we do.
I hope you brought your tent because it looks like Pikachu is actually going to be camping this lane. But here comes the here comes the heavy rotation as now Hades is starting the ultimate up just to try and make something happen. The Serket ultimate was used, so Warchi's not going to be healing, but it doesn't look the poison tick is going to be able to take him out. He's going to be able to survive that thanks to a wonderful rotation from the Poppies, realizing that Serket is posted up nice and steady over in the soul lane.
Yeah, still no wards coming out.
Thor!
Blue player, yeah, he's still hanging out, ulting from the Fire Giant. Spear Ball is going to be good as well. Thor Dunk just going to miss. He goes under, but they're able to stun him out, get a quick double tap as long as a Wind Gust, pick him off under his tier 1.
So, I mean, I like the fact that they just said, alright, he's not going to expect us to come back. We're just going to walk out of lane and then use our ultimate. And then that's something I even make a mistake with when I'm playing the solo lane. I'm like, okay, they came in, they did their gank, they're going to leave now. Nope, they stuck around, waited for the kill opportunity, got the kill opportunity, nice and easy. And so now, the Poppies are on the board.
Yeah, and a quick kill coming over in the duo lane for Serket and Hui. We're able to find Neath there, unfortunately, who has not picked up beads yet, so that is a very easy kill for them.
Yeah, actually really surprising to see the lack of beads on one side of the map. Ignoring the Angry Pikachu's, ignoring the Angry Pikachu's lack of beads. I'm getting myself confused. The Poppies didn't have beads for the longest time. So you saw Neath didn't have beads. Isis doesn't have beads at all. Thor, I think, actually just bought level 2 beads. So
yeah, they just wised up. We saw Neath pick up her beads. Isis went home, picked up a level 1 beads, and Aegis as well. They're kind of wised up. You know, they figured it's gone on long enough. Serket, you got to have some form of anti-CC to be able to protect yourself.
Yeah, so really just now starting to recognize that they need some kind of CC defensive actives, but it's not actually, they didn't actually get punished too hard while they didn't have it. Now we're seeing another hoarding over in the solo lanes. This is the main point of contention for both teams. They really want to try and put either solo laner at a disadvantage to the other.
Yeah, Hell's beads are down. They went down in that last fight, so she's looking like a very juicy target for Serket. A lot of wards coming out now that we've seen a lot of pressure coming out. Wards for both teams. But Thor is going to go up into his ult here, look to put some pressure on this blue buff. He's going to land on the Hades, gets his combo, the Neath ultimate coming in. He's going to ult, but that's not going to do anything to save him. But we do see a rotation coming in. Last breath coming out. Agni's dash is going to come through here. He is going to be stunned out by Cataclysm. But the last breath is going to be enough to take him down there. And it looks like we're just going to have a quick disengage from the red
one for
team.
one so far.
Sylvanas blinking in, landing Rathaterra onto one. A raw pull coming out onto that gap before the CC immunity from rollout was able to kick in. Serket continuing to push forward, but gets picked off quick by a Spirit Ball. She is going to throw out the silence, but this may be enough. Serket is out of mana, so she's not going to be able to have much to dive. Good Aegis coming out here from, going to be able to absorb one bomb.
Oh,
Just enough to get out. Serket unable to regen enough mana to get off the dash and clean up that kill. Really good stuff.
yeah, and I think this might be the Gold Fury call, maybe not. I don't like a Gold Fury call here just because of how low the mana numbers are on a lot of these guys. But the one thing I did want to mention earlier is that with how much high attention that both teams are now putting over the solo lane, I would argue that one team should probably look to try and just rely on your solo laner, say, look, we're going to leave you on an island a little bit, and the next time they make a heavy rotation, I want you to call it out, and we're going to immediately go for the Gold Fury. And right now, wards are an advantage of Angry Pikachus in that fashion, so if Angry Pikachus made that kind of play call, they would actually get rewarded pretty easily with a Gold Fury, especially with Hou Yi dominating the duo lane as hard as he has been.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. They were able to... They were electing to go over there and make...
Oh, there it is.
Right.
And Thor going up into the air. Is he going to come back down into Hades? It looks like Neith is using this World Weaver, and Thor not in range. In fact, he's actually not going to hit anything, just going to walk his way back onto his tower, and Hades is just going to freely back.
Looks like that may have been a little bit of a miscommunication. Not really sure. I doubt he whiffed that hard. It's kind of hard to whiff by half a lane, especially when you have a World Weaver coming out for a stun.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big circle. That's a pretty big circle.
Yeah, I would assume he just kind of like made a last-second decision not to go in. You know, Hades was pretty already deep under his own tower, and
oh, that damage on Hou Yi! And that looks like it's going to be full-on aggression as Serket's coming in. Hou Yi drops the ultimate, and Neith is going to use the backflip, and she's going to have to be forced out of lane yet again. This is about the third time in the last 5 minutes that we've seen Hou Yi just completely bully Neith, and now it's leading to a Gold Fury, and I don't think that the Poppies are going to be there in time to stop it. In fact, yep, that's Angry Pikachu's getting the Gold Fury, and they're setting up for a gang, and they're going to go for it, missing the... Nope, does land the taunt, and Ice is throwing down the ultimate, but she is going to be stunned up by Agni Bomb. One bomb hits again, and that's going to be Serket's last Whisper used. She's going to be demolished by Darzer, and that's a Gold Fury and a kill going over to Angry Pikachu's.
Yeah, very well done by Angry Pikachu. Poppies actually didn't have any wards on the objective, so I feel like they were kind of scrambling to get over there, and the Gold Fury had already been completed by that point, so Angry Pikachus were just ready, setting up the ambush.
Over in the middle lane, Cataclysm used to try and prevent this tower from being taken, but Tier 1 tower in the middle lane is standing on its last leg. I don't expect it to stay up much longer.
Yeah, we're going to see the duo tower go down as well. All three members from duo lane and solo lane actually making that rotation over there to clean that up. That's going to be another 1,000 gold added to the coffers.
Yeah, putting the gold lead up to 3.5 thousand, which is not a huge number. It's not a game-ending number, but it is an alarming one that you have to recognize. But to the Poppies' credit, they do have a very strong late-game composition. They have Hell. They have Geb, who's going to be able to provide a lot of support for Hell, and then of course they have Isis, who does typically well in the late game also.
Yeah, for sure. Hell is able to keep up with farm in levels and pretty much in farm. She's only down about 300 gold. Good on her for staying in it, even though she's pressured a lot in this game.
Yeah, and you also have to consider the global gold that the Angry Pikachus have there. So Hades only being up 300 gold means that Hell, for a good portion of the game, was actually ahead of Hades.
Yeah, for sure. They just picked up a Gold Fury and Tier 1, so Hell's doing a really good job farm here.
So mid Harpies on the right side of the map going to go over to the Poppies as we see a 3-man rotation coming over into the solo lane. It is warded, so Hades should know that this is coming, unless he just didn't spot it out. And he is going to be in a safe distance away from the members of the Poppies. Meanwhile, over in the duo lane, another kill going over to Hou Yi. Maybe if he can land the auto attacks, doesn't have to jump to secure it anymore. So it's just an auto attack battle now. And yep, that's going to be the Bushy again dominating Perilia over in the duo lane, which is really hurting the effort of the Poppies that they can't depend on their duo lane to just stabilize.
Yeah, not only is she down 3 levels, but you can't box against a Mark of the Golden Crow. It's going to provide way too much bonus damage for Hu Yi 1 situation.
Speaking of damage, it looks like they're pouring a lot of it into Geb and are going to be able to find it. Sylvanas with a beautiful pluck to pull Thor into his death, and that is going to be another set of kills for the Poppies as they're now looking to push down this Tier 1 tower, which was standing on its last leg, and possibly go over to the Soul Lane and do the same with the Tier 1 over the Soul Lane. No, they're actually going to go for the Tier 2.
Big man Ting's doing the big man things. He's able to hit so many raw hooks this game, and then, oh, he's going to blink in here, use Rapid Terror onto 2, and they're just going to annihilate Hell. She's just going to disappear.
That damage was just unreal as they're going to clear out this tower and then just go off and decide what they want. They might go for the Fire Giant here. I honestly think that they have enough muscle presence to at least go in there and bait out a fight, potentially get some more kills, and then the Fire Giant on top of all that. But they're just going to take all these buffs, deny their opponents some farm and some advantages with those, and then just clear out this tower over in the right side of the map. They are being followed by, however, by the Poppies.
Yeah, I like this call. I think it's a little bit early for a Fire Giant. You know, it's only 15 minutes in the game despite all this map pressure coming out. So Fire Giant would kind of be the spot to throw. It's a big risk still at this point in the game. But so yeah, they're going to elect just to clean up this Tier 1 tower and probably go back and spend all that hard-earned gold.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what itemizations we see come out from the Angry Pikachus. Not any weakening curses on their side. They don't really feel like that's a priority.
Yeah.
However, Pestilence is looking like the call from Sylvanas. It could turn into something else, but I think a Pestilence would be reasonable here. We're starting to get to the point where Hell's healing is still going to be very strong in team fights. So they still need to recognize Hell's healing. Even though they're doing a lot of damage, they still need to recognize it.
For sure. I think Pestilent is perfect. The perfect item to come out here. You know, Hell's not quite a problem yet. This is an item that's going to be able to keep her offline for just a little bit longer, as it's only a 15% reduction in healing. But yeah, this gold lead is starting to spin out of control in the Angry Pikachu's favor. Seeing it all the way up to about 7,500, coupled with a almost 12,000 experience lead here.
If you thought if you thought Serket did damage before, wait till you see what she does now. She just completed her Deathbringer, so she's going to start spiking out of control. Gold Fury is up, and it looks like that's going to be easily taken by the members of Angry Pikachus, as it doesn't look like the Poppies even have any idea that it's happening. A lot of ward coverage in favor of Angry Pikachus. Only one little ward next to the Fire Giant pit, so that's going to start getting... There's going to be a vision control battle going on here very soon over that objective.
Yeah, Poppy's not electing to test that gold. Almost kind of when you count a team out. But what can they do? They're down so far at this point. It's not even worth it to try and test that.
You know, it's kind of sad to say it, but I think this is one of the moments that you have to just look for your big team fight plays. You have so many swing potentials in your team fight if you can synergize them very well. Unfortunately, they're getting isolated pretty hard. I mean, even right now, Hell's all the way over in the right side of the map, whereas the entirety of the Angry Pikachus are on the left side of the map. So even if they wanted to try and make a swing back play, they can't make it because they're not all grouped up together, taking advantage of the fact that they are a late game team fighting team comp. Now, I think that if anything, if they wanted to try and make a play earlier, like say for example we rewind this game 5 minutes in the past, if they had started early rotations with Hell, I could make an argument that the Poppies would win a lot more fights, but that's not the case right now, so they have to kind of pick up the broken pieces and go with what they got.
I think Hell's really just trying to do her best to keep up and farm that impact on the team fight. She hasn't even been able to complete her full CDR. We do see a good Spirit Ball coming out, in coupled with a Thor Wall, but Serket has 1,000 escape, already half a map length away.
I think that Cataclysm came out a little bit too aggressively there. If you see beads on the enemy team, you have to kind of reason that they're going to use it at some point in the CC chain, so a little bit too ambitious with that one. But Fire Giant not being started up or done or anything like that, so they have a little bit of time to just wait it out and look for the next fight opportunity, which is good. Hell is leading the charge, and it looks like they want to try and invest into the Sylvanas. That could be a huge win for them if they pull it off. And
throwing a lot of CC into Sylvanas. right now. I don't know if this is the best idea, as you know they've already used a lot on Circuit to try and secure her down. Cataclysm's down, their main initiate. They're gonna have to look for something else, maybe a Thor will initiate this next team. But Big Man Tinks is gonna blink in, actually whip the werewolf trap, but hit a raw hook. Ice Assault coming down to follow it up, but Needs gonna be able to back with that damage play.
Here's the fight to take. This is the one. They need to go for it. Thor up in the air. He's going to come down, land on the 2. Berserker Barrage doing a lot of damage. Agni already forced out of the fight. Big Man Tings is about to get Big Man taken down. If Thor can land a couple more auto attacks, Hades' ultimate used in the backside is going to set a couple of members of the Poppies low, and they might be forced to retreat here. They need to keep going. They have the hell. They have the healing. They need to find an opportunity for themselves, and they are looking for it desperately, but they might be chasing the wrong target, as no, they actually are going to be able to secure the Bushy here. He's going to be taken out. That's going to be shut down. Going over to nobody. Ooh. He's going to jump over the wall and escape just barely. Cataclysm used. They're still continuing this fight. Who's going to be able to land some kills here? Sir Cat is going to land the last Whisper, and that's going to be tick, tick, tick. Bushy comes in just to land the last auto attack and find that kill, and now they're turning their attention over to Need.
Oh man, what a crazy fight we've seen evolve here. A real problem coming out from the Poppies. They were not focused on one target. We saw 3 of them on the back line in Hades. We saw Thor on the front line trying to pick off Big Man Tings, and we saw the little 1v1 going on with Bushy, who was able to escape over the wall there. Disastrous stuff as Big Man Tings blinks in, hits Wrath of Terror onto one. They're just absolutely able to delete Need. Thor comes in, ults 3. They're able to pick up a return kill onto Big Man Tings. Good wall coming out. Gonna keep Circuit in there for a little bit, but she's gonna be able to dash out.
And now it looks like the siege is going to begin for the Angry Pikachus. They want to try and take down this middle Phoenix possibly, and they could potentially do so if they get another pick, but I don't think they're going to go too aggressively for this one. They did get a lot of kills in their favor, but they also did take a bit of a hit onto their own team. They got really low. They lost a team member, so I think it's a pretty safe call to just go ahead and take some buffs and leave. However, they can't stick around too long. Hell being there is going to be problematic just because of all the healing she can do. So now, still no anti-heal, because the Pestilence we thought was going to be a Pestilence turned into a Heartward Amulet. So maybe now, do you think Angry Pikachus will want some form of anti-heal?
Maybe, it's hard to say.
Item-wise or active-wise?
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see it come out in a Weakening Curse if he didn't go for the Pestilence there. Hell really hasn't come quite online yet. She only has her her boots and her warlocks done, not even her silver breastplate, so she's not able to crank out as much healing as I think she'd like to be at this stage in the game.
Yeah, she hasn't necessarily been able to free-range heal just yet. And I think another factor is just that the front line of the Poppies hasn't been able to kind of steady keep attention and focus on the side of the Angry Pikachu. So Thor and Gab haven't really been able to kind of absorb as much damage as they wanted to. Thor doing a pretty good job, though, nonetheless. I mean, he has all 3 of the kills for the Poppies.
They're the only kills on the looking more and more grim as they're able to spread their gold lead up to 12,000, nearing 20k. They haven't even hit level 20 yet, so this is all effective experience as well.
Well, now we're just seeing a posturing battle over by the Fire Giant. Poppies don't want to retreat completely and go back and possibly farm a different lane, because they know that at any moment Angry Pikachus do have the capability to take the Fire Giant quite decisively, and after a certain point on the Fire Giant's health bar, they can honestly commit to it and win a fight at the same time because of the huge differential that is in this game. I mean, 11k gold difference, 15k experience difference is nothing to laugh at.
We're looking at player damage over 80's doing absolute work, coming up onto 13k damage. None of his other team broken 10k yet. That's very surprising to me.
So now, Angry Pikachu is just trying to find some kind of kill opportunity. They don't want to overcommit to the Fire Giant, but they also don't want to just ignore it. They do want to progress the game, essentially. But here it comes. That might be the opportunity.
Set up an ambush,
Big Man Tings is going to go in, and that is not going to be a huge follow-up just yet. Beads used on multiple instances, but The support is left behind, and he's forced to use the Cataclysm. Only lands it onto one. Neath World Weaver is going to land onto Hou-Yi on the backside as Thor tries to find some damage. Not going to be enough just yet. There's the Hades ultimate, only going to set up a couple of kills for the Pikachu. And he's going to turn around and do a huge crit onto Hell. That is disgusting. And what is even more disgusting is how dominantly Angry Pikachus are going to take this game if it continues like this.
Yeah, we saw a lot of aggression come out onto the Geb there. Thor was up in his ultimate, and we saw Geb Cataclysm come out, and he was able to actually be taken down before Thor elected to land it. That's not really something I think they should have done in this position. You know, Geb was caught out. Thor had already committed his ultimate. They needed to go all in right there. They kind of trickled in with the Geb ultimate. He filled, and then Thor dunked in, then he got killed, and then Isis ulted. It was just kind of like a trickle as Angry Pikachus is able to clean up the fire giant here. Neath is all by herself. They're just going to collapse on her and delete her.
She's going to be completely destroyed here. But, you know, here's a statistic that I can use to just kind of give you a picture of how little I feel the Poppies might have been grouped up. So Sylvanas, player healing, 8,152. Hell, player healing, 7,148. Hell, who is considered by a lot of people the best healer in the game, if not Aphrodite, then is being beaten in player healing by Sylvanas, who offers a pretty minuscule healing. I mean, it's good, but it's not anywhere near as impactful as just that huge burst.
Yeah. In terms of AoE team healing, Hell is far and away, I think, the best. That just definitely goes to show you how they're not up and fighting it. We see Sylvanas blink in. Hades going to land his ultimate onto two people who have no answer to it. Who bringing down the Sunbreaker. They're able to clean up Isis, as well as we see Circuit Last Breath spreading the poison onto Thor. It's separating the team very effectively with the Thor wall there. They're going to probably elect to just back out here. We see Geb blink in. Shockwave onto two. They're looking like they want to push forward, but they've already lost Isis in their main team fight. Thor landing into the back line. We're able to see him not put out too much damage as he is so far behind. He's going to try and blink back into his Phoenix, but he's just going to be deleted by an Agni Bomb and stun.
And that should be Phoenix for the members of the Angry Pikachus, as Hou-Yi is actually focusing his attention on trying to pick up an 8th kill here, but the middle Phoenix is still going to fall. They're turning their attention over to the right one now, and they want to try and push up the creep wave with it, just so that they don't have to tank the entirety of the Phoenix while they siege it down. But from here, I think at this point, I'm not exactly sure what the Poppies can do to win, but it's got to start with good synergized team fights. I feel like if you can at least knock down a couple of players with just good combined ultimates or good combined abilities, you might be able to make an argument to come back into this game.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. At this point, I don't see it happening as the lead spun too far into the Angry Pikachu's favor. They're just going to back, spend the rest of their gold, get, you know, an item or two over the head of the Poppies. But yeah, I agree with you totally. The team fight is not bad on their side. They just haven't been able to execute it quite.
And I think another factor that you can kind of put to showing that, hey, we haven't been team fighting as soon as we should have, or as much as we should have, is you look at the towers. Look at the towers on the side of Angry Pikachu. So you've got practically no damage on the dual lane tower, which, of course, Neath got bullied out by Hou-Yi, no surprise there. Mid lane tower, kind of the same deal. Isis didn't get enough out of her early game to really force that down. And then you actually see the only tower gone in the for the Poppies on the solo lane side. So they invested a lot of effort into coming over to the solo lane, and I don't think enough effort into actually rotating as a group.
Yeah, for sure. Weren't able to get what they wanted out of the early game. See a big grouping coming out here in the left. Going to look to take down this last. They'll have their fire giant on 4 of the 5 members. That coupled with Sylvanas Sail, they're going to be able to effectively siege this, especially sitting comfortably.
Yeah, Sylvanas just making sure that oh my goodness, the Blink ultimate from Hades, that's a new one I haven't seen yet as the damage is coming out. Ice is able to secure a little bit of healing for her teammates, and Last Breath is actually going to be able to take out quite a few people. The poison is spreading all across the board, and in fact, that might be the pentakill Quadra kill! Nope, that is actually just going to be unstoppable. A quadra kill for the Serket. Feeling a little sad that she couldn't get the pentakill, but
That's
she
too
is going to be
bad.
happy with a win for the Angry Pikachus this time around as we move on to the next game. Poppy's not feeling too confident after that one, I'm sure.
Yeah, really clean team fight there from Serket. We were able to see Sylvanas just kind of zoning out Neath, who was the majority of the Poppy's damage there, and then the rest of the team is just to wreak havoc. Serket coming up with the quick quadra.
Yeah, I think that, taking a look at these stats, there's a couple of outstanding numbers to me, one of which is the player damage just from Hoi Yi. So Hoi Yi sitting at 21k player damage, highest in the game, only beating out the Hades by a little over 500, but, excuse me, a little over 1,000, but basically, this was the hardest part of the game for the Poppies, I feel like. So they wanted to invest a lot more into the solo lane. They wanted to invest so much into doing things across the map, but their ADC was just getting dominated. I mean, he couldn't pick up any rhythm. They couldn't get the Neath to, use the World Weavers as an aggression maneuver as opposed to something maybe defensive or just in general too focused on trying to survive lane to be able to use it. So it was really difficult for Neath to actually do anything for the team composition, and there's a lot of opportunities that could be made with Neath Thor combinations. I mean, Agni could have been bullied, Hades could have been bullied a lot more, and even Hoi Yi could have been taken out a couple times if they did have that synergy.
I think they just lacked focus. They maybe lacked a little bit of target calling. They were not able to synergize their ultimates, have that almost global presence, as well as I think they would have planned. And if we see here, Hades was actually able to out heal Hell.
Oh,
Just let that sink in for a second.
oh, that's cold. That's cold, but I mean that's how the story goes. Angry Pikachu's is gonna take this victory and move on. We're gonna go ahead and go to a break screen, get your next game lined up of this Challenger Cup Series EU, and we're also gonna have a nice visitor come in. I say visitor, but he's actually been here before, and I'm gonna take a step back and let him take the wheel. So we'll be back in just a moment. Don't you guys go anywhere. This is the Challenger Cup EU.
Jesus, take the wheel.